Go. All right, now that all that's out of the way, let's get to the show.
Yes, the regularly scheduled show.
Yeah.
And Daniel, boy, Inside Out, kind of stealing all the money in the box office right now.
Yes, they are.
But for reference, in a single opening weekend, Inside Out made $154 million, and every day since then, like it's beaten the projection here. Which I can't think of the last time I saw a Disney or especially a Pixar movie that did that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's well, I'm trying to think. That would be probably like hmm, what came out in
Whatever came
29?
out pre-pandemic.
Yeah, anything yeah, so I'm trying to think like 2019. When there
Was that Toy Story 4?
That might have been Toy Story 4, yeah.
But yeah, I was slightly skeptical about this movie, but not only did it have a good opening weekend, it is not really slowing down at all. In fact, it made more money on Wednesday than it did on Tuesday, which is unusual since Tuesday is usually like bargain ticket day, and it's usually one of the better days of the week.
Yes.
Outside the weekends, I should say. Um, and so it's interesting that this did so well, considering that we've had a muted year.
Yeah, I think Dune Part 2 had the biggest opening weekend previous to Inside Out 2.
Right, it was like 80 million, I think.
Mhm.
I mean, just for reference, in a single weekend, it almost has matched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes' 6-week cum domestically.
Mm.
A single weekend, it's like taking Furiosa and adding it to Garfield, and with
Right.
another 20
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
So well, let's talk about lessons here. First off, it seems to me that the idea that people don't want to go to the movies at all anymore is just categorically disproven.
Yes. Yeah.
It just has to be a movie that interests them.
Indeed. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Uh. Yeah. This having having a decent movie. Yeah. And basically and something familiar too. I think.
Right,
Um.
that helps.
Yeah. Because I mean, I know a lot of people probably weren't clamoring for a Bad Boys 4, but it seems people seem to be interested in an action movie with two middle-aged guys, and who are probably past their prime career-wise.
Right. In the previous one was well received, and now I almost wonder if. So okay, so I think that last summer Elemental probably suffered a bit for the previous Pixar movies because you had you had Lightyear, but then you had that round of Pixar movies that went straight to Disney Plus that I
Mhm.
don't think were like some of them were decently received in some circles, but well, when you have to come out and say, yeah, from now on we're not going to focus so much on biographical movies for the directors
Yeah.
like Luca and Turning Red.
Right. Yeah.
And then as far as there's also just going to be a certain amount of pent up demand, and because we've hit the summer, movies are air conditioned. Not everybody has an air conditioner,
Right. Yeah.
so movies get a certain amount of business just based on the fact that you can go somewhere cool.
Yeah.
So it's perfect timing. It was a movie that, despite my misgivings last week, I guess it did have enough appeal to pull people back. It also sounds like there wasn't really anything bad in the movie.
No, you mean Inside Out too?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, story wise, it sounded like it was a decent story. Although from what I've heard from some people, say it's kind of like average Pixar. It's not like it's not Toy Story 3 or
Right.
yeah, or like trying to like the first Incredibles or anything like that.
Right. Though if I compare it to, say, like Elemental, we watched Elemental. We came away with an overall positive-ish review, but we there were like a lot of caveats with it.
Yeah.
It sounds like this wouldn't necessarily have a lot of caveats if you're in anything, if you're at all interested in animation.
Yeah.
So, it occurs to me that we've been hearing rumors for years about Pixar being folded into Disney Animation. If they can pull off a couple more of these, it might be a reverse merger, if you will, in terms of where the talent goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, we'd have to wait and see how like something like Toy Story 5 would do. Or
Oh God, they are doing a Toy Story 5.
Yeah.
I think the downside of this is that it's going to hammer in the message that no, people don't want original Pixar movies. No, we just don't want bad to mediocre original Pixar movies.
Right. Yeah.
So moving down the list, the previously mentioned Bad Boys Ride or Die had a really good hold, just a 40% drop.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Very good for, like I said, a couple of middle-aged guys and in a
movie
fourth
for
movie
a
of
franchise.
Yeah, and rated R movie. Yeah.
Yep. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes actually hopped up to third place from fifth place and made more money than it had the previous weekend. I wonder if that one kind of benefited from a counter programming perspective. Like, imagine you have a dad who doesn't feel like seeing Inside Out 2, but they're all going to the movie theaters at the same time. That would be a reasonable choice for different demographics to go to the movies.
Yeah.
But they might just be drawn in. And plus, with the box office, a rising tide does seem to lift all boats.
Yeah.
And if we compare it to how long they've been in theaters, even the other two major family releases that we've been tracking the last couple of weeks, Garfield and If, which are positions 4 and 5 respectively, well, they definitely took a bit of a shellacking because they now have, an apex predator when it comes to family entertainment in town.
Indeed. Yeah. And hey, Edwin, good to see you, man.
Hi, Edwin.
We'll be seeing you next week, man. Talking about Ace 3. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. Inside Out 2 is definitely taking the wind out of the sails for Garfield and If.
Yeah. Although again, they both have been in theaters for about a month. If I'm surprised at the legs that has developed, because reviews I saw early on just made it kind of sound like a super generic, oh, they just ripped off Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. But other comments I've heard have just made it sound like it's actually worthwhile on its own.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Rounding out the top 10, let's see if we have any new faces here. We've got The Watchers in its second weekend, which didn't have a huge opening to start with and is down 50%. So it's another Shyamalan adjacent film that's not doing the best.
Yeah, man. That guy can't catch a break.
I mean, they keep letting him make movies, so clearly somebody thinks it makes sense.
Yeah.
Then we got Mad Max Furiosa Saga. Oops, said that backwards.
It's okay.
In week 4, it's at 7th position, has not hit 65 million yet, and it's going to streaming soon.
Yeah. It's going the way of Madam Web.
Yeah, except by all accounts, this is a much better movie. Actually, did Madam Web make more money than this? If Madam Web made more money than this, that would be embarrassing.
Oh,
Let's find out. Because I forget what Madam Web did.
I think Madam Web did.
No, it did much worse.
Okay, much worse. Okay.
There's some justice in this world then.
Yeah.
So here, in 8th place, we got Fall Guy, which, not surprising, it's petering out. It's been nearly 2 months, and it's already available digitally, so.
Yeah.
Then in 10th place, or 9th place, we got The Strangers Chapter 1. And then Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and Two Towers in 10th and 11th, respectively. which they lost some theaters. Looks like it's quieting down, but it's also a situation where what else do you necessarily have to show?
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, and I don't know what's coming out this weekend.
I don't know if there is anything major coming out this weekend. Probably Inside Out is going to get to rule the roost again.
Yeah. Despicable Me 4. When is that coming out?
I think is that later this summer or in the fall?
Oh,
July 3rd.
okay.
Okay, so
4th of July. Yeah.
so yeah, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, nothing too significant, but
Yeah.
it's weird having a. I think this is definitely the only movie that has opened over 100 million this year.
Yeah.
Because I'm reasonably sure that second place was Dune with like 80 million. Let's find out.
Yes.
Let's see. Tickets.
Yeah. Yeah. 82 looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some like pre-pandemic movie grosses there.
Yeah.
That's some Barbenheimer right there.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
I'm happy for the movies for the movie theaters. They needed it.
Yes, they did. Yeah, because yeah, they've been movie theaters have been closing all over the country. Alamo Drafthouse closed 5 of their locations in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting bought out by Sony.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. That's
Yeah, which I'm not happy about.
no.